Welcome to Its Heroes podcast, the place where Arabic novels come alive. Here, the pages are no longer silent. Heroes speak of their courage, dreamers reveal their hopes, and even villains confess their secrets. Every episode takes you inside the heart of a story, giving a voice to the unforgettable characters of Arabic literature. And now, we begin our very first journey with one of the most beloved modern Arabic novels, Land of Zykola by Amr Abdel Hamid. Step in and discover a world where currency is not gold or silver, but intelligence. Today we've got the heroes of Land of Zykola with us, and they'll be the ones telling their story, sharing everything they went through. So let's give a big welcome to our first hero, straight from Egypt, a man whose destiny pushed him to do what no one else could. Please welcome Khaled.
Zikola, a land of injustice. It was the darkest day of my life when I decided to step into that underground tunnel. But down there, I met the greatest people I've ever known, Asil, Yamen, and Ayad. In Zikola, money means nothing. Neither pounds nor dollars matter here. The only thing that counts is intelligence. Your mind is your currency, and once it runs out, so does your life. As Ayad told me the very first time we met, here in Zikola, we own nothing but our minds. Waste it, and you waste your life.
And with us today stands a truly remarkable figure, perhaps the most important of them all, the first doctor of Zikola, the chief physician to its ruler, Asil.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to those tuning in to this episode. Zikola, a land that knows nothing of money. Here, everything is bought and sold with the mind. And in this episode of Its Heroes podcast, we'll show you how this strange world runs on such a system. It's me and Khaled, and together we'll tell you everything that happened to us in this story. So get ready, because the journey begins now.
Before we dive in, I want to ask you a few questions. Khaled, what made you step into that tunnel? What happened that pushed you to enter a place everyone speaks of with fear? A tunnel no one dares to cross for a single pound.
First, let me introduce myself. My name is Khaled, from a small village in Zikola, Egypt. I was in love with a girl named Mona. Loved her more than anything. I asked for her hand in marriage 7 times. And 7 times, her crazy father refused me. He wanted his only daughter to marry someone special. I don't even know what he meant by that. Did he expect a man who could fly in the sky? I wasn't nothing. I was a graduate of commerce at Mansoura University, had a good job and a respected position. But after the 8th rejection, I went home, and I couldn't stop thinking, how can I ever be special in that man's eyes? That night I remembered the old tunnel, the one my grandfather used to tell me stories about when I was a kid. And I said to myself, Khaled, if you dare to enter that tunnel, you won't just be special to Mona's father, you'll be special to the whole village. So I made my decision. I told my grandfather I was leaving to work abroad. But deep down, he knew the truth. He didn't believe me, and I could hear him listening from outside my room. The next day, he brought me to a man they called the Tunnel Fanatic, the only one who knew how to enter. He gave me instructions, and I followed them all. And then, the tunnel collapsed around me. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the middle of a strange desert. I saw 2 men, running, exhausted. I kept walking until I saw a carriage coming through the gates in the distance. One man inside looked at me and said, "Get in, if you want to enter Zikola." That man was Yamen, who later became my friend. When I stepped inside Zikola, a sharp pain hit my head. A splitting headache. Then, it faded. I thought I should get myself clothes and some food. But something was wrong. No one asked me for money. At first, I thought, maybe these people are generous. Maybe they are honoring me as a stranger. But I was wrong. Everything had a price, and the price they took was from my intelligence. In Zikola, they don't deal with pounds or dollars. They trade with units of your mind.
So tell us, Khaled, what happened next? What did you see? And what did you go through after stepping into Zikola?
After that, I found myself in the middle of a huge gathering. Crowds of people stood together, and I went straight to Yamen, who, at that moment, introduced me to Ayad. I asked them, "What's happening here?" Yamen looked at me and said, "Today is Zikola Day. Zikola Day. The day they gather the 3 least intelligent people in the city. They make them play a game, and the loser becomes Zikola's sacrifice. But that year, something different happened. 2 of the 3 had escaped, and that's when I remembered the 2 men I had seen in the desert, the ones running for their lives. And in the middle of all this chaos, I saw her, a woman more beautiful than anyone I had ever seen in my life. She was standing there among the roses, being thrown to honor the crowd. I asked Yamen, "Who is she?" He said, "That's Dr. Asil, Zikola's chief physician." Then my eyes turned to the stage. A massive man climbed onto the platform, and without mercy, without a second thought, he slaughtered the poor man before us. I turned to Yamen and Ayad, shouting, "How can you do this? In our world, we honor the poor, we care for them, but here, you kill them." Anger boiled inside me. I looked at Ayad and said, "I want to leave Zikola right now." But Yamen shook his head and said, "Impossible, my friend. The gates of Zikola are closed. They won't open again until the same day, next year." Furious, I left them and walked away. I kept walking until I reached a lake. I leaned my back against a tree by the water, and there, exhausted, I fell asleep.
All right, Khaled, thank you. Now let me turn to you, Asil. What was the very first thing you did when you saw Khaled in Zikola?
The first time I saw Khaled was during the celebration, and I smiled at him. But the very first time I truly met him was the next day. A mother was screaming. Her child had fallen into the lake. Khaled woke up to her cries, and he saved the boy. What surprised me most was that Khaled refused to take intelligence units from the woman in return. I asked him, "How?" "No one in Zikola helps without payment." And he looked at me and said, "Goodness should never have a price." That moment stayed with me. Later, I sat with Khaled and told him about the wars between Zikola and the other lands, including my homeland Bahana. I told him how the armies would march out on Zikola Day and never return for an entire year. And I told him how, 14 years ago, Zikola defeated my country and took many of our people as slaves. I was just a 10-year-old girl then, and I was among them. A kind doctor bought me, raised me, and taught me the ways of medicine. Since that day, I have lived as a physician. Over time, I rose to become one of Zikola's wealthiest and most respected doctors. And yes, I grew to love this city. But after speaking with Khaled, I returned to my duty, to treat another patient.
Thank you so much, Asil. And now I want to hear from you, Khaled. How did you feel when you first sat down and spoke with Dr. Asil?
It was such a wonderful feeling, for many reasons. First, because I finally met someone who had been here before me, someone who managed to rise and become one of Zikola's wealthiest. And second, because I felt something for Asil. There was an admiration deep inside me, whispering, "I hope we meet again. I hope we talk again." In that moment, I was happy, and for the first time since entering Zikola, I felt safe.
And what about you, Khaled? What did you do after realizing you had to stay in Zikola for an entire year before you could leave?
After realizing I had to stay in Zikola for a whole year, I started searching for work. But no one wanted to hire me, because I was a stranger. Then my friend Yamen came to me and said, "Why don't you work with me in the quarries, breaking rocks?" I agreed right away, and together we went to the stone pits. There I saw people working harder than I had ever seen before. So I began the work too, for a wage of 7 intelligence units. When the day was over, I went to a restaurant to eat. But something shocked me. Everyone else only ordered bread, yet I ate until I was full. After that, I went to the lake to wait for Asil, but when it got late, I fell asleep by the water.
Go on, Khaled. We're listening. Tell us what happened next.
The next day, on my way to work, 3 thugs stopped me and demanded that I give them 2 units of intelligence. When I refused, they beat me badly until Yamen stepped in and saved me. He convinced me to pay them the 2 units and warned me that I had to save as many units as possible and never use my personal reserve. So, my days started to look the same. I would work hard, then go to the restaurant to eat, and after that, I'd head to the lake, waiting for Asil. But she never came, and every night I fell asleep there by the water.
All right, Khaled. And what happened with you the next day after you woke up?
What happened next, Ahmed, is that Yamen and I went to the library because I wanted to buy pens and paper to write down everything happening with me in Zikola and about this strange land. While we were buying, the man who owned the library told us that once a man had bought a book from him for the highest price anyone in Zikola had ever paid, even though it was just a fantasy book about a tunnel called Forik. At that moment I told Yamen, "This book is my only hope to get out of here. I have to find it." So I asked the librarian about the man who bought it. He said he couldn't remember his name, but he looked a lot like me and spoke the same language I do. After Yamen and I left, and after we finished work, I sat by the lake as usual thinking, could it be that the man who bought the book was my father? I have to find it. And right then, Asil heard me and asked, "What book are you talking about, Khaled?"
Thank you, Khaled. Maybe now, Asil, you can continue the story.
Of course. What happened then was that I said to Khaled, "Is it possible that until now I still don't even know your name?" He told me, "My name is Khaled Hosni." I replied, "That's a beautiful name. But what's the story about this book you're talking about?" He said that he would tell me where he was from and share a story he had never told anyone else. Because if he did, people would call him crazy. He told me he didn't belong to Zikola or Bijana or any of these lands. He had come from a tunnel called the Forik Tunnel, from a world far more advanced than Zikola, with a population of more than 7 billion people. And that the book spoke about this tunnel, so he must find it if he ever wanted to leave. He also suspected that the man who bought the book might have been his own father, the same father who had once entered the tunnel with his mother when Khaled was a child. I told him that I was happy spending this time with him, but that I had to go, since the next day was going to be full of work.
And that's all for the very first episode of Land of Zykola here on Her Heroes podcast. I'm Ahmed Abdallah, and with me were our special guests, the heroes of Zikola, Khaled and Asil. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And of course, drop me a supportive comment so I can keep making more episodes for you. Stay tuned for the next episode of Land of Zykola, because the journey has only just begun. That's it for now. See you soon. Bye.